You know, we're always told that the best friendships, the real ones, are built on being a completely open book, total unfiltered honesty. But what if that's not just wrong, but actually dangerous for the relationship? Today, we are diving deep into the hidden rules of what you shouldn't share, even with your closest friends. And this is all based on some pretty fascinating and, slightly dark psychological principles. So are you sure you know what to keep to yourself? Let's find out.
Right off the bat, let's tackle this head on. Is 100% honesty really the best policy? We all want to believe it is, that, complete transparency is the magic glue for a lasting bond. But what if it isn't? The common wisdom screams, yes, but psychology kind of whispers that a little bit of privacy, a little self-protection might actually be the real secret to helping a friendship survive and thrive.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the rules of personal history. This is the deep stuff, the things that make you who you are. And trust me, sharing this information carelessly can backfire in ways you'd never, ever expect. Now, this first one is going to feel totally backwards, right? Because sharing your vulnerabilities, that feels like the ultimate act of trust. But here's the crazy twist. Humans are, deep down, wired for social dynamics, for dominance. And even in the best friendships, when a fight kicks off, that deep insecurity you shared in a moment of trust, it can be used as a weapon. Subconsciously, maybe even consciously, it becomes leverage against you.
Now, the why behind this instinct is a really powerful concept called betrayal aversion. Basically, we have this primal, built-in need to avoid being betrayed. So handing someone the perfect ammunition to hurt you with, your deepest fears, it goes against every single survival instinct we have.
And believe me, the stakes are incredibly high here. This isn't some rare one-off thing. Studies show that a staggering 60% of friendships end because of some kind of perceived disloyalty. And so often, that disloyalty starts with a vulnerability that was shared and then later misused.
And this idea of protecting your information, it definitely extends to your family. I know it's so tempting to vent about family drama, but this can cause something called boundary erosion. You're basically pulling your friend into a super complex story that they have no role in and no control over. For them, that can lead to some serious emotional burnout.
And, well, here's an even darker thought. Sometimes a friend's super sympathetic ear might be hiding a little something called schadenfreude. It's that tiny guilty pleasure some people get from hearing about other people's problems. They might seem empathetic, but on some level, your drama is just their entertainment. It's not just the current drama we have to be careful with, it's our past, too. You've probably heard of the halo effect, right? Well, there's a reverse version of that. Sharing a really big mistake from your past can permanently stain how your friend sees you. No matter what you do now, that one confession can cast this long, dark shadow over their entire perception of your character.
Think about it this way. Confessing doesn't just get rid of your guilt. It actually transfers power to the person listening. Suddenly, that information can become a source of judgment or even a kind of subtle blackmail. It completely throws off the balanced, equal footing that a healthy friendship needs to be built on.
All right, moving on from our personal history, the next danger zone we need to talk about involves our status and our ambition. This is where friendships can get competitive fast. Money. Man, this is a big one. Whether you're absolutely killing it or really struggling to make ends meet, revealing the specific numbers is almost always a terrible idea. If you're doing well, you risk sparking some serious envy and resentment. If you're struggling, you might just get pity, which, let's be honest, can feel just as awful and make your friend feel uncomfortably superior. So why is money so tricky? Well, it all comes down to a really powerful psychological drive called social comparison theory. We are hardwired to measure our own worth by looking at the people around us. So when you introduce a big financial gap into a friendship, you're basically forcing a comparison that can totally poison the dynamic.
And this isn't just a theory, not at all. The data is pretty shocking. In over 70% of cases, a known income difference between friends leads to major resentment. That's a massive trigger for negative feelings that can just silently eat away at a friendship.
And it's not just about the money you have right now. It's also about the success you're chasing. Sharing your biggest career dreams might seem like a good way to get motivated, but it can create this weird undercurrent of competition. Some people call it ambition envy. Your friend, especially if they're in a similar field, might subconsciously start seeing you as a rival instead of their ally. Now, in some really extreme cases, knowledge of your ambitions can be straight up exploited by people with what are called dark triad personality traits. These are individuals who are naturally manipulative, and for them, your career goals might look like an opportunity they can steal or sabotage for their own gain. Okay, for our final section, let's talk about the boundaries that protect the friendship itself and your other relationships. This is where things get really, really delicate, and the stakes are just incredibly high.
Sharing intimate details about your romantic life is a complete minefield. It invites your friend to judge your partner, it can easily get spread as gossip, and in the worst-case scenario, it could even tempt a friend with, competitive instincts to try and sabotage your relationship. It's just not worth the risk.
So why do these juicy secrets spread so fast? Well, it actually comes down to brain chemistry. There's this thing called gossip propagation theory, which suggests that sharing interesting personal information gives our brain a little hit of dopamine. That's our reward chemical. So your secret isn't just a story, it's a little reward that your friend is biologically tempted to share.
And the chain reaction is so simple, it's scary. It starts with you. You tell one trusted friend. Then they accidentally let it slip to their partner, swearing them to secrecy. And just like that, boom, the information is out of your hands, spreading through networks you can't even see. And for our final rule, this might be the toughest one of all. Don't confess your resentments about your friend to your friend. Directly telling someone, hey, I'm jealous of you, almost never fixes the problem. It just completely disrupts the balance, it puts them on the defensive, and it can turn a hidden internal feeling into a huge open conflict.
And please, do not underestimate how powerful this unspoken envy is. It's a factor in a mind-blowing 50% of all friendship breakups. It is so often the silent killer of relationships, just festering under the surface until everything falls apart.
So, after all these warnings and all this doom and gloom, what's the actual takeaway here? Well, the point isn't to build up huge walls and never be vulnerable. It's about shifting from just, mindless disclosure to what we could call strategic sharing.
Really, what this all comes down to is a simple but powerful shift in your mindset. The goal here isn't total secrecy. It's about discerning trust. A truly strong friendship isn't built on spilling every single thought, fear, and secret. It's built on a deep foundation of mutual respect. And that includes respecting the fact that some parts of our inner worlds should stay our own. And that leaves us with one final question to really think about. If a great friendship isn't about knowing every single thing about each other, then what is it about? Maybe, just maybe, it's about knowing exactly what not to share and trusting that the friendship is strong enough to exist without knowing it all.